Watch out for a chubby man who is frantically fleeing with a safe in his arms. 2 men chased after him, because this chubby guy is a losing chubby guy. Jumped upstairs. The man took out his gun and aimed it at him. Suddenly, a car rushed towards him behind him, crushed him into a patty, but it wasn't long before he stood up unscathed, because he's a police officer from the underworld, having an immortal body. His name is Nick. 3 days ago, he was an ordinary police officer. During a task execution, he was betrayed by his partner, but when Nick woke up, I found that everything around me was still. He walked out of the house. A huge vortex appeared in the sky. He was sucked in, and then it appeared in an office. There is a woman sitting opposite. He explained, this is the underworld police station. He's the inspector's suggestion here. Nick was a police officer during his lifetime. He has 2 options for trial, or become a police officer in the underworld, especially helping to capture the dead spirits who are trying to escape trial. Of course Nick doesn't do it. But the inspector continued, if you agree, I can go back to my hometown and meet my wife again. Hear this, Nick will change his tune immediately, agreed to the inspector. But Nick came to the hall. Coincidentally, I saw a big and rough undead causing trouble. Several police officers couldn't hold him down. Just then, this handsome old cowboy is Nick's new partner. A cowboy named Roy died in the 19th century. I have become over 100 police officers, but Roy doesn't recognize Nick as a rookie and says he's not qualified enough, just using Nick as a follower. But that's not a rejection either. Roy brought Nick to a funeral. Nick's funeral. This is the traditional onboarding ceremony at the police station. Watching myself get beaten. Nick is still very calm. After seeing his wife's lonely figure, he finally couldn't help it anymore. But Zalan came to his wife. As a result, my wife no longer knows me. Nick's face was filled with shock. So quickly I was forgotten. He ran back and asked Roy what was going on. Originally, the police department would give officers a fake identity. Ordinary people can only see their disguised appearance. Nick's fake identity is an old man Nair. Nick didn't have the chance to ask Roy what his disguise looked like. Coincidentally, a passerby passed by. In the eyes of passersby, Roy is like this. Nick is speechless, but his appearance is no longer recognizable to his wife. We can only start his first mission with Roy. They received a message. Roy takes Nick to a hotel. There is a zombie hiding on this zombie. There is a special kind of stillness, harmful to anything. An elevator with flashing lights. The luxurious floor buttons are all traces of dead air. Follow this lead. The 2 finally found the zombie's room. Roy knocks on the door. The person opening the door is a young man. The 2 falsely claimed to be from the Ministry of Health successfully entered the room. Roy asked Nick to interrogate him while he was munching on his own food. Young people are becoming increasingly hesitant when speaking. My body is constantly trembling. Keep your eyes fixed on Lowe's box lunch. Soon. He couldn't help it anymore. The zombie appears in a circular shape. Nick took out the handcuffs and wanted to handcuff him up, but it pulled down the refrigerator door, almost hit Nick while he was flipping through the refrigerator, handcuffed him and himself together. Don't even blink his eyes. Pulled down my own arm directly, to seize the way and flee. Nick got up and chased after him. Unexpectedly, it directly broke the glass, jumped off a tall building. Not for a moment. The zombie crawled up from the ground. Keep running. Nick was stunned by this scene. Suddenly Roy's voice came from behind. Didn't wait for him to react. Roy pushed him and the 2 of them jumped downstairs together. Originally, the underworld police had an immortal body. Roy intercepted the zombie with a gun. Nick went up and beat him up. Beat out the gold from his stomach. Think about zombies, and it ended up being shattered by Roy with a single shot. Nick was startled at first glance. He recognizes this thing. Original. He used to embezzle a trace of stolen money with his partner during his lifetime. That's all this gold. Later on his conscience was uneasy to submit. Killed by my partner. But how did these gold appear on monsters? To find out, the 2 brought the monster back to the police station. The informant who found the police station with gold is also a zombie, so they found the informant. I hope to ask a clear question. In the face of coercion and inducement, the other party is still asking 3 questions. I don't know. Nick had to give him the gold first. Let him continue to pay attention, and keep an eye on it. I'm also puzzled. That's how the gold is given to him, but in fact this was a deliberate trick set by Nick. They just left not long ago. Now I have indeed contacted the mastermind behind the scenes with gold, and this mastermind is not someone else. It was Nick's partner who killed him. Sure enough, there's a problem. Strangely enough, how can a human be related to a zombie? 2 people following their partner, discovering that their partner's next destination is Nick's house. Nick panicked. He is afraid that his wife may be in danger. But my partner just walked straight to the backyard, digging out a package of things under a tree. Open it and take a look. Surprisingly, it's also gold. It was the part of Nick's partner that was originally assigned to him, pointing at gold and treating his wife. This is evidence of Nick's corruption. Nick is angry. I'm about to rush over, locked in by Roy. The 2 continue to follow their partner, coming to another building, zombies waiting. So Nick also hid aside and waited. Midway through, it was because Roy's disguise was too hot. Attract passersby to chat up. Soon a fat man came along. Sudden short circuit in nearby wires. Fat man walks up to his partner. Take the iron box of gold and leave. Nick keep up immediately. Caught the fat man under the elevator. direct threat with a gun. Take the fat man to a freezer. I also picked up a can of anise powder on the way. This thing can lose confidence. He wants to see the true face of the fat man. But Nick didn't expect the fat guy to be a tough guy. Nick grabbed his hand and took a sip of his phone, and then the fat guy starts to show off. The fat man quickly walked out, no tattered clothes. And then look at Nick. The two of them ran onto the street. He just ran away dragging the tall building. Roy took out his gun and shot him in the buttocks. He wants the rope to pull the fat man down. Unexpectedly, he was suddenly knocked away by a fat man. He dragged Roy to escape into a building. I want to take the elevator and escape. Nick just ran into the elevator. Crisis moment. Nick interrupted the iron elevator and led two people up rapidly. After seeing it upstairs, Roy had a bold idea. Elevator falling to the roof, and then carrying the box out, Roy hung it on the roof of the building, and that fat man has already escaped. The two returned to the police station to report, but I received a notice from the Supreme Police Department, so the gold they investigated is actually a magical fragment. It can reverse the channels between the underworld and the human world. But the two created a huge chaos on Earth, so they were fired, and the end result of being fired from the underworld police is only one being executed. Although Nick has been suspended from work, but they have no intention of stopping the investigation. Nick never understood. If the partner is a zombie, why didn't he feel his partner's jealousy before he died? It can explain that zombies can rely on some special item to cover up their stillness. Nick instantly understood. Must be the bracelet my partner wears every day. The next day the two of them found a partner. But the partner didn't panic at all, because he had already arranged all the plans the night before. Facing two underworld police officers, he took off the bracelet. The stagnant energy that has been suppressed for many years is instantly released. The house began to shake violently. The wall is gradually peeling off. Even the floor is amazing. And then the entire house was forcibly torn in half. The powerful death penalty made both people feel very uneasy, due to finding a huge piece of gold in the water heater. And the partner doesn't care at all, and I won't make any resistance either, willing to be taken back to the police station. So smoothly catching someone. Don't worry, there must be a conspiracy behind it. The police arrested many zombies today. Unusually busy. The police officer just threw the things on his partner's body aside, not paying attention to two things reacting. In an instant, all the police officers were unable to move. The zombie was not affected. Originally, the partner was deliberately submissive, just to retrieve the gold from the police station. Soon, zombie evacuation no longer hidden. Just come to the street. Their purpose is about to be overthrown. That batch of gold, it's actually a magical part, because of the ability to open channels in the underworld, can send the jar back to the human world. Waiting for Nick to come, but being ambushed by zombies, it's not easy to solve the monster channel. It has been continuously generated throughout the city. The two of them hurriedly headed towards the largest passage to the block that the fat man was accustomed to. But the fat guy just ran away and was really good. Easily killed by Nick. One side artifact is about to be set up. The partner who showed his true form captured Nick's wife to perform bloodstains. Nick arrived at the critical moment, but the killer still did it. The artifact absorbed blood, increased energy. Angry Nick immediately rushed over. Roy rushed up to Nicky, although he cannot destroy the artifact alone. But there's a car next to it. Roy took out the rope and pulled the car down. The aura has been dismantled. The zombie in the air was sucked back by the police again. Nick took advantage of his partner's distraction to eliminate him. At the same time, it also eliminated a shocking crisis. Ending. Nick's wife survived. Nick and Roy were also detained for their contributions in solving the case. Two underworld police officers will continue to protect human peace in their way. Okay. This is the end of this session. Remember to pay attention to Xiao Kai in the film Wilderness. Next round of refinement.